so none of that will be recorded. Having said that, we will be recording here in 1 minute. And, as we discussed a little bit on the phone, I do have the ability to edit some things out. So if you have dogs barking, kids running around, whatever it may be.
Well, we do have bad weather. I don't know where you are, sir, but I'm talking within the last 10 minutes, so it might be a thunderclap or something like that. But outside of that, sir, I don't think there should be any issue. No children, no pets.
Awesome. So, even if there are any distractions or if you have a phone call that comes across and you need to take a minute to take it or whatever, feel free. We can pause this and move on. Does this time still work from you? Do you still have roughly about an hour?
Sir, I have all the time you need. I just want you to know I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity. I appreciate you being so humble and caring so much about others. I feel that my opportunities are always, it's a concentric, how do I say this? A threshold or a pie chart that's constantly diminishing because my message is being censored. I literally, just before you and I started this interview, was posting on Facebook, forgive me for playing on my phone, that's my fault. I was raised to not have phones in front of people and all that kind of stuff. But I just got put in Facebook jail this morning because of a post of a guy who put his feet up on Speaker Pelosi or ex-Speaker Pelosi's desk. And there's a website to raise money for him. I put it up, boom, they blocked the link. It's like they're blocking it before it's even posted. They're not even giving the, anyway. Big tech is only getting worse and worse. And I had big TikToks, I had big YouTubes, big deal. I'm not trying to flatter myself, but they all get knocked down and struck and over, some lawyer jargon of, community standards or against our policy, just all this ambiguous gray area stuff. So the fact that you reached out and you actually want to give my platform life means the world to me. And I'm not trying to kiss your butt. I'm just trying to say, freedom is popular. And our unelected controllers, they have to stop that because they're these two dueling realities of a Constitution, a Bill of Rights, and life, living in pursuit of happiness. That cannot thrive with your World Economic Forums, Davos's, Bilderberg's, Trilateral Commission, etc. So forgive me for making such a long point. I can talk forever, but I appreciate it, and I have all the time you need.
Good. Well, we are going to get into it. So a little bit about me. I am in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh, straight north. Yeah, you just.
So this is where I started it, and I started it talking out the Cincinnati City Council candidates in 2021 because there's 40 candidates running for 9 seats, and I'm like, how the heck do you know who you're voting for? And I had a YouTube channel before called Ask the Banker, and one of my buddies was running for city council. And I was like, Rob, I called him up. I was like, I got this crazy idea, man. I want to try to get as many of you guys on. I want to just find out who you are, why you're running, what issues are most important to you, basically why I should vote for you, right? And there's not a YouTube channel out there that's doing what I'm doing, talking to every party, talking to everyone, just to try to figure out who's running and who's not running. And it turned into this thing where now I had U.S. Senate candidates that reached out to me in the 2022 election that were like, hey man, I see your platform. I love the way it's set up. It's easy to find the races. You can find everyone who's running. I let you speak freely. I don't challenge you. I will ask, what do you think about the other side when they say, bop, 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 whatever it may be. And I want to get your opinions on that. But I really let you speak your floor and, try to figure out where it is you're coming from, what your character is like, and basically why people should vote for you. And over 200 interviews later, here I am talking to U.S. Senate candidates, U.S. House representatives, state governors from across the nation, and I just create playlists for you guys and to help spread the word. All I do ask is that you share this on your social media platforms.
Trust me, I will. I'll be putting it on my Rumble, my YouTube, Facebook, everything. Don't you worry about that. I appreciate it. Thank you for being a springboard.
Yeah. And it's been a ton of fun. Obviously, after the 2022 election, there's not many elections coming up nationally, except for Louisiana, Mississippi, and Kentucky are the governors. And so far, I've done about 6 interviews so far. 6 or 7 interviews. So we're still coming up to the primaries. My videos don't get a lot of traction until closer to the primaries, obviously, as people, start to pay more attention. So I do have more of a marketing plan going out for Kentucky, Louisiana, and Mississippi here as we get closer to the primary. When is your primary? Is it in August or May?
October 14th. And also, I wanted to tell you this. Each guest is leverage for the next. That's how I did it on my YouTube show. I'd be like, look, I interviewed so and so, and then you kind of use that as a leverage pin to get someone else. And so, the more you do, the more minutia you get, the easier it starts going. I can relate to that, and I'm really happy for you. And that's wonderful. You have that aha moment because look where you are now. And then imagine other thing. I don't know. You can start a cooking show. You can start this. Now that you have all this minutia, you can start breaking off and doing other things. But that's your decisions to make. I just want to say I'm proud of you, and I can relate on a smaller scale though. So yes, October 14th at 8 a.m. And sign-up day, where everyone makes ballot, is August the 8th through 10th at the Louisiana SOS on Archive Boulevard in Baton Rouge.
Cool. Aside from that, that's backstory about me. I just want to find out where you stand on like the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. I got your notes up here that you got here, and I want to dive into a little bit more about what you want to see happening, or what you like about Delaware, Florida, and Texas.
Yes.
We can dive into that quite a bit. I will tell you one thing. I'm not a fan of trashing other people.
I don't like to do that much. I don't want to go on record on this interview. That was kind of more of a candid. What I'm telling you, what I sent you. Okay, yeah. So.
Perfect. We're on the same page. Don't worry about it. We'll get into that. Are there any topics you need to absolutely stay away from? Or anything
no, I'm not that kind of person. Bring up anything in my past. I have no skeletons in my closet. I don't care what you want to talk about, really. Like I said earlier, and I stand by it, and I hope we're being recorded right now. I'd love for this to be in the interview. Nothing should be off limits. And I want to be able to show people, like I said, I don't know if this is the right word, but my dynamacy. I want to be able to be put on the spot, think on the fly, have to come up with a good answer. I don't want any softball, anything. I'm here to speak the truth. So
that's well, my channel's catching on. So hopefully we can get the higher tier candidates to come on as well. We'll see what happens from there.
Yes, sir.
All I do ask is that you like, subscribe, and share the video. That's all I ask.
I subscribed to you right after we hung up.
Awesome. Appreciate it. With that, you ready to fire away? It does take me a day or two to get some minor editing and stuff like that done to the video. And then I do post this live within a day or two.
Kevin, you can't rush perfection.
Huh?
You can't rush perfection.
Got it. And then as we get closer to your primaries, I will start chopping up the video and, filtering it out, there. It's just minor things that I do.
Any form of promotion, and real quick before we go live or whatever, I don't care if you put this on. If you're ever in Louisiana, please let me return the favor. We'd love to. I have a house here, brand new, could host you, take you out to eat, wine and dine you and the wife or whatever. Just, you have a friend here in Louisiana, whether, whatever you post after this. I thank you for reaching out, and I really look forward to this.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be great. I got a feeling we're going to have a ton to talk about, so we'll see where we go.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's Xan John, and you're running for state governor of Louisiana as a Republican.
Xan. It's Xan. So the middle syllable of Alexander, not to sit here and correct you or anything, just it's Xan. Xan John. Yes, sir.
Xan John.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, here we go.
Recording in progress.
All right, here we go. Xan John, welcome to Ask the Politician. Hey, you are running to be the next state governor of Louisiana as a Republican. Did I get all that information correct?
Yes, sir, you got it correctly. I appreciate you looking me up. I'm very honored to be on the show.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. So you are running for state governor of Louisiana. I do have a bunch of notes up here on my computer and down here on my little pad of paper that I have here. But as I kick off all my interviews, I first and foremost want to know, who is Xan and why are you running for state governor of Louisiana?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I am a 33, soon to be 34-year-old politician. I have ran for Senate twice before this. I ran early, actually, because of the whole COVID agenda, if you will. I wasn't a fan of it in any way, shape, or form. I knew better, and so did my constituents. And it was basically, if I can crystallize the point, it was a way for NGOs to make citizens of the United States, which is the freest country in the world, adapt to lower standards of living and to see how long they could push that, because they have, much more in their agenda after that. So in 2020, I reached the age of 30, and I was able to qualify. I always wanted to be a senator or a governor. And I finally made the age requirement. And when I saw what was happening, I said, "This is unbelievable. I'll just start now." And so that's what got me into politics, is just the constant lies and forcing of unjust measures onto the United States to try and usurp our Constitution and Bill of Rights. And so I'm running. You asked why I was running? I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I'm always curious as to not only, why you're running, but why the state governor?
Governor will give me the capacity to no longer be an activist, but an actor, and actually put my hands on the levers of power. And I know it'll be a battle with all the Democratic, legislatures and things like that. But I'll at least be able to perhaps overpower in some manner and push a pro-human, pro-freedom agenda. And I want to ask anyone that's running: are you pro-government or are you pro-freedom?
Gotcha. Okay, so let's dive into this. So I'm always curious with state governors. What are your top three?
Got them. I got them. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to dive into that because you got a lot on here. You gave me some notes and some bullet points here of why you're running and this, that, and whatever. If you could break it down into three, maybe five, whatever it may be. But try to keep it to three.
Let's just, let's do a happy medium. Let's do four, okay? I'll just hit you with them and then we'll... So voter integrity, the fact that Bill Gates owns 70,000 acres more than any other state here in Louisiana. Why Louisiana? The George Soros-funded politicians, and especially the New Orleans area, the DAs and mayors who attend the World Economic Forums, and the fourth being Louisiana has more oil and gas than most nations, okay? We need to be drilling. And we need to be acting responsible with that. But I came from 11 years of oil and gas production background. I know how to, the only time things that are bad happen is when people purposely pollute or there's some sort of purposeful staged natural disaster like the BP spill. When you look at the court minutes, the CEO said, pull it. And what's insane about that, forgive me for going on this rant, but I just want to wrap up this one point, is it's all the people like these mega oil and gas corporations that are funding the whole green agenda. And so that makes you think. Anyway, all that can be looked up and researched.
Got it. So tell me about voter integrity.
Okay, so yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so hey, let me tee this up here for you for a second. So the four issues that I got were voter integrity, George Soros, and funding the DA and everything, and oil and gas. And what was the fourth one?
Oh, Bill Gates and all his farmland. He owns more farmland in Louisiana that he wants to have soy or pay farmers not to farm or all this GMO stuff. Leave Louisiana alone.
All right, let's dive into voter integrity first.
Okay.
So that's an issue across the country. A lot of states have different issues here and there, some more in particular than others. How bad is it in Louisiana? And, what would you do as the next state governor to help out with voter integrity?
Yeah, so case in point, we have a fella that no one ever heard of that just came through with big sponsors and won 2 terms back to back. His name is John Bel Edwards. Everyone is fed up with him. And as of now, still no one from the Democratic Party or anything other than Republican has announced candidacy. So there's going to be a massive backlash, kind of like with the whole Obama and then Trump got in. So that's what's about to happen here in Louisiana. It's kind of like it's a pseudo-Obama crony that's about to just get hoisted. People are finished with this guy. And I had a state legislator at the House last week. I can't say his name because I respect our relationship and him telling me what's going on because, of course, he's a fly on the wall. But he was telling me that our state legislator, Paige Cortez, and our soon-to-be ousted governor, termed out governor, John Bell, are both killing any anti-CRT, anti-tranny storytime bill and voting themselves raises before they're out of office forever, which I think is sick.
Jesus. Okay.
Can't make this up.
It is interesting because, as I was looking at who was running, there are no Democrats.
Yeah.
And, Louisiana was, historically, they were a very Democratic state up until, 30, 40 years ago. And then it started flip-flopping.
Blue dog. It was all blue. Well, also, too, nationwide, just like the voter integrity you said is a nationwide issue. And I gave you our kind of microcosm of it, or Louisiana-centric version of that. The definition of Democrat has changed. All my family, they were all Democrats. Look, the guy in the corner right there, he was a Democrat. Everyone loved him. He was the only governor ever to win 4 terms in governor history of this nation. And the left has been hijacked by big NGOs, UN, World Economic Forum, all these think tanks that have infinite money from the IMF, World Bank, Federal Reserve, in coordination with BlackRock and Vanguard, State Street, and Fidelity. And these companies have sabotaged the left, and they've hijacked things. And let me give you, it sounds crazy until I start giving silly analogies, but they hijacked the word gay, which used to mean happy, the rainbow, so these things are all now signs of the left. And it's ironic because they're the party of tolerance and acceptance, and everyone is good and everyone's equal. But God forbid you're a Trump-loving conservative who wants to have a nuclear family, which is the only way we're going to repopulate this nation.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're banning certain words, because I just got off the phone with someone from New York who's running for U.S. Senate in 2024, and they're banning the word independent on the ballots.
It's a slippery slope, because you start with that and then more and more and more. We're going to get the whole 1984 effect, V for Vendetta.
Okay, I want to get into Bill Gates and George Soros, because that's probably going to get me kicked off YouTube. But first and foremost, I want to know more about what it means to be a Republican. So you bring up talking points about, Democrats. They're not really what they used to be. I can say the same thing about a lot of Republicans out there.
You're right. I should have mentioned that dichotomy as well. Yes.
Give me your definition of you and what it means to be a Republican to you, and going forward.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you're right. And I'm very glad that we're going to refine this point, because that knife cuts both ways. It's kind of like with censorship. If you bar, those words, then you can, bar stuff on the other side too. So it's like, be very careful what you wish for. Yes. So we're seeing a wave of these America First Republicans. I first started out I started my own party, but I didn't get enough steam, even though people agreed with me. It's like, I have to be Republican, but be a subcategory of Republican, this America First and not a rhino. Those are, I guess, your two most broad categories, and this whole red or Republican or GOP threshold that we're dignifying right now is you have the I guess, glorified Democrats, that just wrap themselves in the Republican flag, if you will. And then you have the people that are getting censored, pushing the right message. They're absolutely pro-freedom. They're not here to be a career politician. They want to do what's right. And that's the subcategory, the first level of refinement I can give myself. And I'm very confident, and I speak for others as well. People like Carrie Lake, for example, had the election stolen from her, etc. So within this subcategory is where I lie, and I am not. I don't even want to draw a salary. I simply want to go in, make decisions that give the Louisiana people a seat at the decision-making table, and I want to eradicate, or at least while I'm governor, hopefully 2 terms, I'm not going to visit with any special interest lobbying groups. None of them, or no snake oil is going to be around me. Only snake around me is going to be this, and that's it.
So give me that a little bit deeper on that, like, subcategory.
Sure.
Some of the things when I talk to Republicans, are you for, like, smaller government? Are you for, conservative spending, or, being conscious of the budget? Where's your thoughts around, like, those 2 topics?
So yes, I am for smaller government. We are quite top heavy. Also, too, we have these. Well, that's more of a federal issue. I would say all the intelligence agencies, NSA, and everything. But if Louisiana had its own version of that, I guess we have those offices. We have those offices here in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, etc. And I want to ask people, what have the intelligence agencies or IRS done for you lately? And I say that because their offices are here in the state, and I'm not crazy about them. But secondly, with the conservative spending, yes, it's not like the state of Louisiana is sending money to Ukraine or something of that fashion. I'm trying to think of a spending bill, but I know that as far as money allocation, there's lots of money that is being kept and withheld by politicians, and I think things need to be much more transparent. And that's why, and I know this is kind of like a sidebar, but I really want to have 24-hour footage on me. I want people to go live, and I invite people to come and watch what I do constantly, because 1, you'll see what's going on, and 2, I'm very worried about being assassinated. I kick in doors, I take names, I kick butt. And if you knew me from the past, or knew me in oil and gas, everyone knows. If I say the sky is going to be red tomorrow, you should plan accordingly. I'm not trying to act pompous or self-righteous or anything. I have an extremely hard or vulcanized set of values that I adhere to that almost turn off people in a way, because they know that I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. So yes, there needs to be more conservative spending. But the thing is, though, if the spending was actually going to end up where it needed, I wouldn't mind the spending.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this? Because, I'm just kind of thinking aloud of
Sure.
different things that I've talked to other candidates running for other state governors. Some of them have talked about bringing the books of Louisiana online, so the mass public can see exactly where you're spending all your money. What are your thoughts on doing something like that?
That would be wonderful. But also, too, we have to understand that even when that happened, I don't know if anyone's ever read the book, The Rockefeller Files. You can give all sorts of alias names, shell companies, put things in trusts to stop things. So we can make it all public, but is everyone going to understand the accounting? Not that the general public is stupid or anything. We could have a flock of accountants look at it. Do we know all these pseudonyms and euphemisms and where all this stuff is going? There's still, even if it was public, I think a lot of things are going to be hidden, because last I checked, politicians are still stealing. And John Bell, our very corrupt governor, who it blows the mind of everyone you ask on the street, you can't find anyone who voted for him. And I don't say that in a pompous way at all. Like, really, it's mind-blowing. He is helping out his brother, who's the sheriff of Tangipahoa Parish, which their biggest town is Hammond, right off I-12. And they're just stealing money and building big houses, doing all sorts of stuff. It's horrible. His brother Daniel, the sheriff in Tangipahoa Parish, it's a joke. Ask any sheriff, they know about it, and it makes them sick.
I'll let the people go from there, and they'll try to figure it out from there.
Yes, sir.
So let's get me kicked off YouTube here. Let's talk about Bill Gates and where you stand with George Soros. Tell me about all this farmland that Bill Gates has in Louisiana. What is he doing with it, and why is it such a bad thing that he has it?
So I guess I venture to say that is it common knowledge that Bill Gates does not have a pro-human future? I mean, he is an outspoken depopulationist. Can I get you on record to maybe somewhat agree with the things I'm saying, or if you ever heard what he publishes?
I have heard rumors of it.
Okay, that sounds good. If you give me that, I can work with that. I can actually take that and stretch it. So he is a big anti-carbon World Economic Forum speaker, and this fella is always talking about reducing carbon. And last I checked, the burning of carbon has freed laborers and nations from backbreaking work, and it's good for the environment. And lastly, and most importantly, we are carbon-based life forms. And I think when they say we need to reduce carbon, it's a way of saying we need to reduce the population. So we have a devout, and I could really go into the rabbit hole about all the stuff of him being wickedly occult satanic, but we have this devout anti-carbonist who flies around in private jets saying, you shouldn't, be able to burn this or have AC or have, organic food, who pushes GMO foods, pushes what they call VACCINES, just to help you out with your algorithm. I hate the fact that we have to do that and self-censor. And he is buying farmland. And what's significant is when I looked into it, I found out that he owns right at 70,000 acres here in the state of Louisiana. And it hurts because, I take it personally. This guy wants to have everything GMO, crank out soy, which is horrible for men. And also, too, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that this man will pay farmers, hey, how much are you going to make this year? Okay, I'll pay you double. Don't farm. They want to replace beef, which are, other meats, pork, chicken, with GMO meats. They have interest in all of this, and they can get all the loans they want. I mean, the guy could come up and buy every acre of farmland if he tried hard enough, and that's scary. We need to be able to assimilate and push back on this, because small farming and farmers markets are where it's at. That's how we're going to remain healthy and cancer-free, or significantly less cancer, especially in a state that by design has been made so toxic by negligent corporations.
Okay, gotcha. So let's move on to the other hot topic that you have is George Soros. how deep is it, and how bad is it that he funds all the DAs and mayors or whatever it may be?
Got a report right here.
There you go. You got bullet points there.
Well, not only that, I'm just going to show a quick map so you can see where all of this lies. So just for your viewers, this is just where he has some DAs and mayors. Okay, and then I want to zoom in real quick just for the people that question. Go to this, look up this Justice for Sale. Check that out with this group. Look into what they're doing, okay? Because I'm not just pulling this out of my rear. I'm going to show one more thing real quick. So you can see how the money is broken down and the DAs. Hopefully, if anyone, I don't know if they recognize any of these faces, but there's your boy with infinite money. Anyway, so people can pause that. I just wanted to throw that up there. He only funds radical leftists. These are people, these radical leftists, that do not mind getting power even if it's aimed against their prosperity, which blows my mind. So it's kind of like he will get these people elected that just want to govern, and this is just an analogy, a helicopter crash. It's like, look, I don't care that we're all about to die, hypothetically, okay? But I have to be in control. And these people that don't mind putting good people behind bars, throwing the book at them, just like I was mentioning how I got censored earlier for one guy who put his feet up on the desk at Nancy Pelosi. What happened? What kind of crime is that? To life in prison. And so we have habitual drug and crime offenders, murderers, that will just go in for a booking, get processed, and let back out and murder again. Okay, but God forbid someone who voted for Donald Trump or is a conservative or a small business owner get in some sort of ambiguous trouble, okay, they'll get the book thrown at them. So these people are there to erode the checks and balances. So George Soros has interest in destroying this country, appoints minions, which are these radical DAs and mayors, okay, and he wants to do it in strategic, highly populated locations to disrupt the rule of law and the United States system of checks and balances so that this country can come about a fall or have a disaster quicker. So he is a catalyst for the destruction of the sovereignty of this nation, subsequently the state of Louisiana. And he has no place in this state.
All right. Well, that's where you stand on it. We will move on. I'll let people leave comments below as to whether or not they agree or disagree with you. So give me your thoughts on oil and gas. And let me kind of tee this up because, I'm a firm believer that the majority, if not everyone, wants to leave this planet better off than when they came into it. And I'm a firm believer over the past 50 years, our waters are cleaner, our air is cleaner, and we're going in the right direction. But me, first and foremost, I don't enjoy being pushed stuff on. Like with solar energy, I see time and time again the different things out there on YouTube and wherever it may be of these solar farms going bankrupt, these wind farms going bankrupt. I've done the cost of what it would take to put solar onto my house, and it doesn't even cover the energy bill. It costs me a significant amount more to have it. So I can't say I'm for it, but I can't say I'm against it. Where do you stand with this, this whole carbon neutral stuff and going green, and how does this play into your oil and gas?
Going green is a scam, and when you look into all that, it's all unreliable energy. There is things like geothermal and 0 point and Tesla energy that actually would produce no carbon, and that's literal good green energy. But what's labeled green by our unelected bureaucratic NGO leaders is all going to make them gobs and gobs of profits while making us live a lower standard of living. When speaking of solar, when the sun's not shining, no energy. Can people handle that? Wind. When the wind's not blowing, no energy. Can people handle that? I come from 11 years of oil and gas production. So that's not the drilling. That's not the anything. It's not the refineries. That's the wells that are tapping into this resource. I'm familiar with MIT's mechanical integrity test, which you test the casing and tubing to make sure that there's no breach of freshwater aquifers, things like that. I'm very familiar with those practices. They're reliable. I can even take someone and show them oil wells to prove it, or injection wells. And also, with the amount of oil and gas left, how do I say this? I want to give everyone a quick lesson. So there's puncturing of wells and wells flowing on their own. Okay, that's first, primary recovery. Then there's called secondary and tertiary recovery. And I know I'm getting into the weeds, but what I'm trying to say is if people think we're running out of oil, there is so much oil left in these zones, and you can recover it by pressuring up these zones and basically just getting like a mop or a sponge and just getting everything out. And you can basically clean out these reservoirs with medical grade CO2 or what's called gas lift. So there's tons of oil left. And also I want to make another point is, we have to have all these catalytic converters, DPFs, DOCs on diesel engines, all these things that clog up, create back pressure, don't really work that well. And then China and India are open for business, no scrubbers on any of their vessels. Scrubbers is an exhaust component, if you will, that cleans up and gets out the bad things that come out of the exhaust, not things like carbon, but just heavy metals and such. And they've been allowed by these NGOs and big banks to build, mine for coal, mine for rare earth, produce all the carbon they want in an unsafe way or a very polluting kind of fashion. But the United States has to have its coal mines shut down. Everyone has to drive a Tesla, which can be updated via Wi-Fi. You didn't pay your taxes. You voted for Donald Trump. Boom, they can just click off your engine. It's easier for a kill switch. So the United States has been set for destruction, and carbon which will tie into your social credit score in the CBDC, is the way to control everything, because whatever is living is organic, has carbon in it. And so that's why there's this war on oil and gas. It allows for sovereignty. It allows for a combustion engine. So these practices can be very clean with the addition of scrubbers and just common sense practices. Not letting everything flow into what's called a reservoir pit in drilling or production. And I'm sorry to get so into the weeds about this stuff. I come from tons of years of experience, and I'm not trying to, say all this jargon and blow people's mind. But that's something I could talk, forever about. And I will say I do work better when you really refine the question, because I can just start saying all sorts of stuff. Forgive me.
No worries. No, I appreciate you getting into details about that.
Yes, sir.
It's good to know. So, what are your thoughts on like nuclear? That's been something that's.
I don't know enough about it.